Good morning, everyone. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're in this space or you're out on YouTube land, we're so glad you're here on this Mother's Day. My name is the Reverend Mandy Goheen, and it is my honor to serve this congregation. Folks are coming in a little slow. We're back to contact tracing because the numbers are going up, so just keep in mind that we're doing our best to keep everyone healthy and safe and together. So stay tuned for changes. All right. So we begin this multi-generational service, which means that everyone will stay together today. We begin this multi-generational service the way services are started in Unitarian churches all around the world. We light a chalice. We light a chalice to mark the beginning of a special time together. It is this time that we are here to celebrate mothers in all kinds of ways. So welcome to this day. And we're going to do our chalice lighting. I'd like to invite the Olsen family up. Charlotte. Oh, you two get to do it. I don't know where Charlotte. Oh, there you are. Okay, I see it. All right, come on up. And they're going to light our chalice. Please join me in the lighting words. In the light of truth and the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Uh-oh, it's a trick one. A little parenting, a little mothering happening, even at the chalice. We can never quit. Please rise in body and or spirit and join us in number 131, Love Will Guide Us. We've all experienced a mother's love guiding us through a hard night, haven't we? I didn't check with you. Do you want to do the piano thing? Or are you not ready? Nikki. Yeah. I'm sorry. Let me get you a microphone and everything. Nikki's good. So, okay. We have an amazing piano in this church. And for a long time, it was over here. And I remember the first time I came, someone was like, oh, I'm making her run all over. Come over and feel this piano where it was firebombed in this dark corner where spiders live. So I decided it would be more fun if it was here where we could see it. And Nikki has really championed getting the plaque done for this piano that tells the history. And I would love her to introduce that. Surprise, Nikki. Oh, he's thinking I know how to use this.
All right. I'm going to just read it, if that's all right.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
In 1965 and in 1967, gasoline firebombs damaged the UUCC church at 1211 Dodds Avenue. That's where the church was at that time. At that time, Reverend Ernest Howard's ministry was well known for its support of desegregation and its opposition to the war in Vietnam. This piano, that's an upright as you walk in the door of this church, this piano was heavily damaged in 1967 in that bombing and was not used until the year 2000. Paul Adler and Jeff Stiles recognized in 1998 that it could be refurbished. Steve Hollingsworth, you have to raise your hand, Steve. There you go. And Dr. James Carson of Bensonville, Illinois, who is a longtime friend of Steve's, and they've often played duets together in the Chicago area. But he came to Chattanooga, so Dr. James Carson of Bensonville, Illinois, played a benefit concert in 2000 using both the grand piano donated by to UUCC by Dr. Philip Livingston and this refurbished piano. Both are Steinways, so they did a benefit concert for the money. So you touch the side of the piano and feel the scorch of 1967 firebomb. So if you've never touched the old piano and felt the scorch before you leave today, you want to do that.
Thank you, Nikki, so much for doing this. And for rolling with my surprise. And I agree with Nikki. I think that, today let's rededicate this piano. We're going to be talking about Mother's Day and specifically peace in the world. And that piano was damaged. It was in the religious education section. And as you walk past it today, just touch it where it was burned, and let's just rededicate it to that space. I'd love to hear it. It got played about 3 months ago. It is here. It is part of our community, and just give it a little pat on the way out. So, I would like to invite Camille up to help, and anyone young at heart who loves really cool pictures to come up and check out this amazing book. No one's young enough? Oh, thank goodness. The pictures are amazing.
All right. Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay. All right. Hello, Minerva. So glad you could join us. Oh, man. Okay, so today we're going to read a little story called Mother Goose, crossed out Mother Bruce. All right? And if you look at the picture, what do you see? A bear. Does he, how do you think he's feeling? Confused? What do you think, David?
Weirded out.
Maybe weirded out? All right. Well, we're going to find out why Mother Bruce is a little weirded out. Okay? All right. So I love this book because it has such creative pictures, and you really know how Bruce is feeling by his face. All right. Bruce was a bear who lived all by himself. He was a grump. He did not like sunny days. He did not like rain. He did not like cute little animals. Bruce only liked one thing: eggs. He collected them from all over the forest. Good morning, Mrs. Sparrow. But Bruce didn't eat eggs raw like other bears. Instead, he cooked them into fancy recipes that he found on the internet. This is my favorite part. Bruce has a shopping cart, if you will notice. Okay. One day, Bruce came across a recipe for hard-boiled goose eggs, drizzled with honey salmon sauce. I guess on the internet. So he went out to get the ingredients with his shopping cart. First, he caught a few salmon. Then he collected honey from a local beehive. He liked to support local businesses. Last, he went to Mrs. Goose's nest to pay her a visit. Are these eggs free-range organic? At home, Bruce prepared the eggs for hard boiling. But the fire in his stove fizzled, so he went out to get more wood. When Bruce came back, he was met with an unwelcome surprise. What do you think might have happened?
Eggs hatched.
You think the eggs hatched? Well, David, you would be correct.
Look at the front.
Mama! Bruce became the victim of mistaken identity. Bruce wanted hard-boiled eggs, not goslings. He supposed he could settle for buttered goslings on toast. But for some reason, he lost his appetite. Bruce scooped up the little geese and stomped back to their nest. I will have to ask Miss Goose about her return policy. Be back in April, Mother Goose. Only to find Mrs. Goose had flown south early. Bruce left the goslings there anyway and went back home. What do you think the goslings are going to do? You think they're going to come follow Bruce back? How do you think Bruce is going to feel about that? Maybe weirded out? Mama, Mama! But he was followed. Bruce was very stern and said things like, go away, and I am not your mother, and also, I liked you better when you were eggs. He's a grump. Roar! Bruce could take it no longer and became extra grumpy with them. How do the goslings feel? Can you see their little faces? Yeah, they feel kind of sad. How would you feel if somebody roared at you? Sad. It didn't work. Goslings always follow their mother, even if she is a he and he is a bear. Mama! Mama? So they follow him up a tree and everywhere he goes.
To the bathroom.
Bruce was stuck with them. He tried to make the best of it. How do you think Bruce is starting to feel? Maybe he's starting to like them? Yes. I really like how he has floaties, but I don't know if he can fit in that swimming pool. It was hard work. So they painted. He has them in like a baby Bjorn on his chest. And then he's trying to feed them different foods, but they don't like them. They say things like bluck and ooh and yuck. And then finally, he's exhausted, and they all take a nap. As the seasons passed, Bruce watched the pesky goslings grow older. First, they're annoying baby geese. Then we have stubborn teenage geese. And finally, boring adult geese. Then, one fall afternoon, he saw other goose families flying south. Finally, he'd be rid of those geese, and he could take a long winter nap. Do you think the geese will fly south? Yeah? Do you think the goslings will go? So Walter says yes, and David says no. So let's see who's right. Bruce explained migration. But they didn't listen. Look, what did they do, guys? Do you see what they put on? They put on winter clothes. They said, we don't want to fly south. We'll just wear coats and scarves and hats.
I think one of them was wearing underwear.
One of them was wearing underwear? Yes, it's quite possible. Bruce needed the geese to leave, so he got creative. He's got a little slingshot going. Nothing worked. These geese would not leave Bruce. Sigh. So Bruce decided to pack some bags and take his geese into town. They boarded a bus. And migrated to Miami. Now, every winter, Bruce and his geese head south together. They laze about at the beach in tacky shirts, sipping ice-cold lemonade, while Bruce dreams of new recipes that don't hatch. And this picture has one of the goslings, and he's hanging out at the beach, and there's a little baby turtle that walks up to him and says, "Mama?" All right, the end. Thank you.
Yay. Is that a good one? Oh, I'm behind you. Our reading today is called The Wide Spectrum of Mothering by Amy Young. And this is a time for blessing for motherhood of all kinds. To those who gave birth this year to their first child, we celebrate with you. To those who lost a child this year, we mourn with you. To those who are in trenches with little ones every day and wear the badge of food stains, we appreciate you. For those who have experienced loss through miscarriage, failed adoption, or runaway, we mourn with you. To those who walk the hard path of infertility, fraught with pokes, prods, tears, and disappointment, we walk with you. Forgive us when we say foolish things. We don't mean to make this harder than it already is. To those who foster, mentor, and are spiritual moms, we need you. To those who have warm and close relationships with your children, we celebrate you. To those who have disappointment and heartache and distance with your children, we sit with you. To those who have lost their mothers this year, we grieve with you. To those who have experienced abuse at the hand of your own mother, we acknowledge your experience. To those who lived through driving tests, medical tests, and the overall testing of motherhood, we are better for having all of you in our midst. For those who have aborted children, we remember them and you on this day. To those who are single and long to be partnered, mothering your own children, we mourn that life that has not turned out the way you thought it would. To those who step-parent, we walk with you on that complex path. To those who envisioned lavishing love on grandchildren, yet that dream is not to be, we grieve with you. To those who will have emptier nests in the upcoming year, we grieve and rejoice with you. To those who place children up for adoption, we commend you for your selflessness and remember how you hold that child in your heart. And to those who are pregnant with new life, both expectant and surprising, we anticipate with you. This Mother's Day, we walk with you. Mothering is not for the faint of heart, and we have real warriors in our midst. We remember all of you, and thank you for your mothering.
has a piece prepared for you today called Child of Tomorrow. And as they make their way to the stage, you may notice that we're missing about half of our choir, maybe a little more. So various travel things and illness, and in our case, canine illness. So Jonathan's home with our sick dog right now. So I told them, I'm a professor of music and theater at Chat State, so I work in academic music, and in a lot of institutions we have, for music departments, we have a choir, and then we have a chamber choir. The chamber choir is the elite ensemble. So today you are getting to see our Elite Six, the UCC Chamber Choir, so very exciting. So they've prepared a song, Child of Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, look now and see, this world awaits you, and all that you'll be. Yours are the heavens, and yours are the seas. Child of tomorrow, go forth and follow your dream. Child of tomorrow, soon you will go. Knowledge and wisdom are yours to behold. Yours are the heavens and all things below. Child of tomorrow, find your dream wherever you go. Walk boldly and humbly wherever you go. Stand proudly and honor the truth that you know. Follow where your heart leads, for there you must go. Always remembering the path that leads you home. Child of tomorrow, look now and see, this world awaits you, and all that you'll need. Yours are the heavens, and yours are the seas. Child of tomorrow, go forth and follow your dreams. Go forth and follow your
I don't need that. You're fine. Oh, okay. Hi. We need helpers in our life, don't we? So, where did Mother's Day start? Anybody know? Mother's Day has become something different than it started as. It started as women refusing to give their sons up to war. It did not start as a holiday with cards and flowers and sentiment. It was women working together as nurses during the Civil War, helping both sides, both Union and Confederate soldiers simultaneously, having a commitment. It was a group of women calling themselves mothers that are in action. And it would not surprise many of you that the first person who proposed Mother's Day's name was Julia Ward Howe, a Unitarian. Yay! So Julia Ward Howe was pretty amazing. She was a poet, she was an abolitionist, she was a suffragette, she was a peace movement activist, and she wrote a little song. Does anybody know what it was? The Battle Hymn of the Republic. And so she wrote that in response to another song called John Brown's Body when she went to Washington, D.C. to visit President Lincoln. And the president of the Unitarian Association said, hey, Julia, why don't you change this into something else? The Battle Hymn of the Republic becomes the most popular song in the North after she's written it. What's interesting about that song is there's a line and it says, God's mighty sword. That seems a little not very peaceful, honestly. But she was really calling for the end of war. She was calling for the abolition of slavery. And some of the women that we see during this time period can be a little problematic, a little bit of racism, because they were really feeling like women needed rights before black men. They wanted to be able to vote first. And there was some competition and some tension. Julia Ward Howe was married. She had 6 children. She separated from her husband for a while and got back together with him, which is pretty rare in this period of time in the 1800s, because he kept undermining her activist work. She didn't give up. She also was the champion of the family. She made sure that everyone got along, and there was this peaceful approach to family in her house. She was into the temperance movement, something many Unitarians today don't identify with very well. But it was that purest of family and the heart of fierce motherhood, not the heart of soft motherhood. After she did her Mother's Day proclamation, which I'll read in a little while, another woman who was a Methodist, Ann Jarvis, had been doing similar work. And so the work of these 2 women are really what made Mother's Day come about. But they were both anti-sentimental, and they were both troubled by the capitalism that later becomes attached to Mother's Day. So in Julia Ward Howe's Mother's Day proclamation, I just want you to think about these words are being written in 1870. The Civil War is, doing what it's doing, and she has had it with the idea that mothers are raising children to die. She just can't fathom it. It sickens her. And she calls on who she knows. She calls on women, specifically mothers, to come together. And here are her words. Arise, all women who have hearts, whether in your baptism be that of water or of tears. Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with carnage for caress and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them: charity, mercy, and patience. We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own, and it says, disarm, disarm. The sword is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe away our dishonor, nor violence indicate possession. As for men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left at home for a great and earnest council. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as a means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each learning after his own time the sacred impress of not Caesar, but of God. In the name of womanhood and humanity, I earnestly ask that a General Congress of Women without limits of nationality may be appointed and held at some place deemed most convenient and at the earliest period consistent with its objects to promote the alliance of the different nationalities in the settlement of international questions, the great and general interest of peace. So she was trying to get women together to promote peace because she felt as a mother she had no other choice. She had no other choice to disobey her husband, which was pretty radical at the time. She had no other choice but to put herself forward. She brought this pronouncement to Boston and other Unitarian churches, and Mother's Day was celebrated for a while. And then it didn't quite catch on, and we have the next iteration of motherhood and the president passing the Mother's Day Proclamation in 1910. As a parent, peace is important to me. Not just peace and quiet so I can use the bathroom by myself, although I enjoy that, but a peace of mind that I'm raising people to be in a world where they're safe. Peace of mind that government and other entities aren't going to decide my children's future and not going to impress upon them participating in war. I want to raise my children to fight for justice, but not in a way that is dangerous or hurtful, resisting and rebelling without loss of life. I think the reason that it's so important that women were called forward into this peace movement is think about the spread and reach of mothers in the country at the time then and the time now. We are back in a time where we're thinking about war again, aren't we? And we're worried again. At this time, we're going to express our prayer for peace through a multi-generational activity. And I want to invite Camille up to talk to us about the story about paper cranes and how their call for peace went out around the world. I want us to get in touch with loving things like a mother, whether we want to or not, like Bruce. So as we love things like a mother, let's use that mothering instinct, no matter what your gender, to invite peace into this world. Oh. I'm short.
Okay, can you hear me? All right. So today we are celebrating Mother's Day, and mothers are such a powerful force in our lives. We're celebrating today all different people who have mothered us, nurtured, and cared for us along the way. A beautiful essence of Mother's Day is the fight for peace, and I'm going to share with you a story about a little girl's call to peace. Sadako Sasaki was only 2 when an atomic bomb hit Hiroshima in 1945. She survived the bombing, but it caused her to develop leukemia, and she was given only a year to live when she was 11 years old. While she was in the hospital, she began making origami paper cranes. There is a legend in Japan that if a person folds 1,000 cranes, they will be granted a wish. Sadako strung the cranes around her hospital room, and before she died at the age of 12, she was able to make over 1,000 paper cranes. Today, there are memorials around the world that honor Sadako and call for peace in our world. We are going to fold origami cranes today during our meditation to pray for peace around the world. You can write a message of peace on your paper before you fold it. There are instructions on how to fold it around the room. So if you need one, you can raise your hand. There's plenty of extra paper up here by the candles if you'd like to grab an extra piece if you don't have one in your program. But we'd like to ask you to fold a paper crane for peace today.
Didn't know there was going to be a test today, huh? When you've finished your paper crane, even if it's next year, feel free to bring it up here and light a candle for Joys and Concern, or just come on up. And if you can play us through again, Jennifer, we're going to light some candles. I was just laughing at everyone, like, I didn't know it was very wonderful. Okay, so if anyone has a candle for a joy and or concern they're holding in their heart this week, you're welcome to come up and or bring your crane or not. You're welcome forward. Thank you. I love all the working together that's happening. I'm going to light a candle for those of you who are online today joining us. I'm going to light a candle for mothers. And then I'm going to light a candle for unspoken joys and concerns. I might light all these candles by the time I'm done. And I'm going to light a candle for mothers whose children are at war. I'm pretty lucky. I have an amazing mom who's in the front row. Yay, Mandy's mom. Woo. And I'm not just lucky because my mom is here today. I'm lucky because all the people she's been a mother to. She has experienced a similar situation as Mother Bruce. Oh, I can't look at you. I love you. She has experienced a similar situation. She should have known this was coming. As Mother Bruce, and she has done mission work in the Ukraine. She did it for 5 years, and she has children there. And you never know when you're being a mother. You just don't know what you can do. It can mean sitting down and doing art with a child. It can mean listening, even if you don't know their language. It can mean making yourself available and taking really, really uncomfortable chances. Does that sound like motherhood? Making yourself available and taking really uncomfortable chances. So my mom went through the process of adopting someone named Evelina who lived in the Ukraine. She's a grown-up now and is married and has a beautiful daughter. And they have moved into Poland. I've talked about them before and that they are a little safer than they were. We still worry about them, and we get beautiful pictures of their daughter all the time. But that's really cool, and I'm really proud of my mom for that. But that's not the kid who I'm thinking of. Her friend Trey went to Ukraine recently to reconnect with the kids from the orphanages that they served. The orphanage would be closed down for a month in the summer, and the kids would be sent off to a camp, which was an old army barracks. And people would come and help the minister there, not to set up this camp, and help the orphans have a place to be for the summer. I remember my mom packing her suitcases to go before there were all the limits. And I remember I bought her this giant suitcase that my kids would fit in. And we would put every art supply in every crack. And she would lug that thing all the way to the Ukraine. And one of the things she packed in it, I didn't know about. She packed some pictures of herself. And so in packing those pictures, after the kids left, she gave them all a picture of her. And I'm really sure they all were calling her Mama. And it was a picture of her with an American flag behind her. It's a very lovely picture. I remember the picture. And the picture came back to us. And how the picture came back to us is her friend Trey went to check on the people that had come out of the orphanages that they had done mission work for years in the Ukraine to see how they were. And he ran into a young man. And the young man, since the time in 2005 or sooner, had the picture that my mom gave him of her in his wallet. And the first thing he asked was how she was. He asked Trey, and Mom has a picture of him holding up the picture. I'm going to let her show that off after service. She didn't know. We never do. She didn't know that was going to change someone's life, that was going to give an orphan a mother. It was like Mother Bruce. She didn't understand that the action she was taking was creating an image of mother for children who were orphans that they would never have. She didn't know that she was giving them a connection to trust God. She was doing it because that's what she was called to do, and it wasn't easy. And I remember stories, and I remember worrying about her being on trains and planes and automobiles. And I remember about 5 months ago talking to her on the phone and the anguish she was feeling by seeing the images in the Ukraine. And the fact that she'd stayed in a hotel that had been bombed. And I thought, I was thinking that's just stuff and people. And I got it, and I was sad, but I didn't get that that was her mother's heart. I didn't understand. It's the same thing that Julia Howe was saying. We don't save people so that they can become victims of war. We don't raise children so they can do that. So if I had a Mother's Day proclamation to make today, I've been thinking, I want to be like my mom when I grow up, so we'll have that one. Brave. I hate airplanes and traveling overseas, so the fact that she did all that is really, it just makes me feel uncomfortable, just even that part. I want to be like her. I want to fight so hard and believe so much in hope and peace that I'm willing to be uncomfortable and go places to be a mother. I want to be brave, because if we're brave and we go places to be a mother, our children grow up brave and go places too. I want peace in the world. I don't want to worry about any children being harmed by capitalism or politics or by the police or by war. There's too much trauma out there, and it makes sense that all of us as mothers want to wrap up and protect the people we love from that. But we need to remember, you never know who's watching. You never know what extra kid you're protecting. We lead our children by example. And I couldn't have had a better example of how to be a mom. I couldn't have had a better example of selflessness. Now, didn't always like what she was doing. I remembered when she asked me to pay for her to go jump out of an airplane when she turned 50, and I was like, no, I don't want you to do that. Her bravery inspires me, and I'm brave in different ways than she is. But that connection of a mother that I've begrudgingly, to be honest, had to share with other people, it's worth it. Be a mother to all. Fight for peace. Fight for justice. Let's not be sentimental mothers in those sappy cards. Let's be brave mothers who stand up for justice and do not tolerate any child being hurt, much less our own. And that is my Mother's Day proclamation. Which seems like a very strange segue into another proclamation, as usual. I keep thinking, where am I going to put the offertory? I want to talk about the present here for a second. I want to talk about the offertory, and I'm not going to go on and on about it, but it is our connection campaign time. And connection campaign right now means we're encouraging members to connect with each other in relationships. Anytime you come to an event or even a committee meeting in the next few weeks, we're going to be doing the connection campaign. Your prize for participating is you get a really cool new name tag. But there's more. The next part is pledging and connecting our money to this church. And it is our 70th anniversary, so I didn't. I asked my dear Andre to beautifully wrap this present. And there's a slot in the top. There are the envelopes down here with many people's names and pledges on it. We'll talk about that a little bit during announcements. But I want to show you what else you can get from pledging. If you've already pledged, which I have not, you get to bejewel your name tag. Are you ready? I know a few of you already get to bejewel their name tags. There's jewels up here. The minute you drop it in the box, that's what you get. But this church needs more than pledges. The last year has been kind of hard. We didn't have a consistent offering plate supporting our work and our mission to care. Our mission to care is like a mom statement, I think. We didn't have as many people giving online, and it's hard right now. The economy's tight. Everyone's tight. So we need you to be as generous as you can. I know some people need to give less, some people to give more. But the mission of this church is an important thing to support, not just with your pledges, but with your loose offerings, and this is why. We are doing the work of the Mother's Day Proclamation. We are doing the work of working for justice without violence, and I think the mission of this church is worth supporting. Create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace life and care for the earth. That's Mother's Day. That's a mother. And it might seem odd to think of your money being connected to that, but if you can give, it allows so many people to do good work. And this place is a beacon in this town, and we need to invite more mamas in to be doing the work. Our offering will be gratefully received. You're welcome for the song. I've been thinking about it for all week, and I was thinking about, I learned that song because my mom was a Girl Scout, and I went to Girl Scout camp, and I learned that. So thank you, Mom. I'm sure you were very proud of that moment. Had to lighten it up a little bit. Please join me in our offertory response. We give these gifts freely, committed to our mission to care, create beloved community, awaken hearts and minds, resist injustice and act with compassion, embrace the earth and embrace life and care for the earth. To this work, we dedicate our offerings. Please join us in our closing song. It's in the teal hymnal, If Every Woman in the World, Rise in Body and or Spirit.
lead the world, set a true course for freedom. If every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all our sons and all our daughters reached in friendship across the waters, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
That is a good song. So what? I love it. So what? Mother, like everyone's watching you. That sounds like a lot of pressure, right? Every time you reach out to touch someone, think about their peace. Like, think about peace. Think about what you can do. Folks are watching. The world is so polar right now. And love can bring us together. Love can help patch things up. And what better love to, like, pull on the reserves of as mothers love. Love the world. Give generously. Give kisses. Bake cookies. Fight for freedom. Make up music. Do all the amazing things that mothers do. All the amazing things that people do. This has been a hard week for women. We're going to talk about it next week, I promise. But this has been a rough week. And one of the things that I just want to say is that I am here as a female minister today because of the work of people like Julia Ward Howe. And I am not going to be easily taken out of this space of being a minister. And so I will fight for that because I want everyone to know that someday when they grow up, they can be whatever they want, regardless of their gender. I'd love that just to go away, wouldn't you? That every kid growing up knew they could be whatever they wanted. And there weren't rules about limiting them about who they were going to be. May it be so, and amen. And we're going to extinguish our chalice, and the Olson family, come on back up. And please join me in our chalice extinguishing words as they get up there. There's a little thingy back there. I don't know the actual word for that. Snuffer. We extinguish this flame, but keep the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with all. So it's announcement time, and I have 2 people in the community, and then one at least, and then one from me. So whoever, Lynn, you want to come on up?
Good morning. And in the spirit of community action, and we can also pitch in besides money, it's time. The Art on the Walls Committee has set aside October and November for an autumn-themed panels in our alcoves. So we are inviting anybody who wants to create one to come and join us. We're going to have a meeting, let's see, next Sunday after service. We'll have a room downstairs at Carol. Wave a hand if you're not going to stand up. There she is. Carol Harves is our Art on the Walls person. So we're going to have our doves in, December. And then we'll have our autumn-themed panels. So come and discuss with us next Sunday. And we'll start another project.
I love a good collaboration. So, and it's time to show off your talents. All right, now we have another exciting announcement.
And in this, are we on? Yes. And in the spirit of bridging a better church community, we're having this coming Saturday a good old-fashioned picnic. And it's at Booker T. Washington State Park. If you haven't been there before, it's a real gem of state parks. It's got a lot of awards for different things. But there's fishing, and there's kayak rentals, and there's going to be cornhole, and there's going to be badminton. And most players are better than this guy. But it's quite a special place. We've even have one of the rangers going to do a birds of prey that live in the park presentation, which will be fun. There's hiking trails. There's just a nice way to spend an afternoon or a morning and part of the afternoon in an idyllic situation. I mean, it's just a very, very pretty place. So we look forward to all of you attending. I have a flyer. If you're like me and you can't remember things, you have to put it on the refrigerator. I've got flyers. I'll be in the back of the room at the end of the service passing them out. The only issue is that it sounds like, based on our weather report, that 40% of the nation's supposed to have rain next Saturday. But, you know, that just means it might rain at night or not at all. So hopefully, if it's not raining at 10 in the morning, we'll have it. If it's pouring down rain at 10 in the morning, we won't.
And Bill, we bring a dish, right?
Yes, and it's bring a dish. We'll provide free hot dogs and hamburgers, and one person I know is bringing Impossible Burgers for those who like non-meat products. So bring a dish, a good old dish for classic picnics, you know, coleslaw, potato salad, all those wonderful things, potato chips. So with that, I'll pass the mic.
I'm just going to say briefly, you see me often at the audio-visual booth back there, but I'm also a member here. Over the last year during the pandemic, a couple of us have redone the audio and the visual system here. And we have our systems down. If you saw us, the pretty poor performance of that on on Zoom over the late part of the pandemic, we're now broadcasting on YouTube, and we're looking for volunteers to help out with this process. So if you have any inclination toward, there's no experience necessary, we'll train you, and we've had people, kind of new people that we're supervising in the back, but please come talk to us. We're looking at basically like one Sunday a month of doing it. That's what we'd like to head toward. So just talk to us. Thank you.
So much is going on. And I'm really excited about the picnic next week. I think it's important that we continue to gather. We see the numbers with COVID getting a little higher, so this is a really great chance for lots of us to be together outside safely. I want to just remind you that the whole purpose of our campaign is to connect, and I think that all these cool opportunities to connect are really enriching our lives and making us, it just feels like we're back together finally. It feels like things are moving well. And we also have the Stewardship Campaign part of it. There are envelopes. If you pledged last year, there's an envelope up here for you with a pledge card in it. It's a little different this year. I'm going to show you what's inside. There is a piece of paper, which is super cool, our bookkeeper Cass put together, and it has your contribution statement, a pledge summary, and then underneath, if you gave last year, it gives you examples of a 5%, 10%, and 20% increase, and a little message from me saying, please give 5% more. This is the pledge card, but they're also online. And now the Fair Share paperwork from the UUA that helps you figure out what your pledge is has been updated in a more easy-to-read format. So that is all there, and as soon as this gets filled out, you simply drop it in the box and then put jewels all over your name tag. So please, if you need any help. Also, if there's not an envelope in the box for you, there's some extra pledge cards. Wow. Farron has an announcement. See, we're never going to stop announcing things. 5 hours later.
So like Rev Mandy was saying, the COVID numbers are kind of fluctuating in Hamilton County right now. At this moment, contact tracing sign-in is required, and this is just how we keep track of who's coming in the doors. If someone happens to be contaminated and it happens to spread, we can call you and let you know. We have a quick check-in list at the greeter table when you come in. This has the list of everyone who has submitted their proof of vaccination to the office. If your name's not on that list, I don't have your proof of vaccination. If you would like to be on that quick check-in list, you just highlight your name and you're here, you're good to go. Please email that to me. The email for the office is office@uucc.org, and then I'll add you to that list and you can just check yourself off when you come to service on Sunday. And that was it.
Oh. I know, I love it. It means lots is going on.
There'll be more about this later, but I just wanted you to know to save the date, Saturday, August the 20th, I'm going to be ordained here by UUCC. So I would love for you to be there, and I am looking for some folks to serve on my team.
Is that exciting? Oh, why am I holding this? Is that exciting? I'm so excited for another ordination. We had such a moving, wonderful time, and Pam has been a part of this community for how many years?
About 30-something.
It only took you all that long to make her a minister. Good job. I'm kidding, but it will be a great celebration, and she's an amazing contributor to the choir, the pastoral care team, and the Working on Worship Sunday service team. So thank you, Pam, and we are excited to do that. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Fight for peace and justice. Fight like a mother. May it be so, and blessed be. You knew you were Mother Bruce.